But staying in the SEC, but flipping divisions, we're going to go number 22, Florida at Kentucky. Kentucky now just a 1-point home favorite, and this game carries an over-under of 44 points. For those living in Kentucky, I'd like to welcome you to legal sports betting. Congratulations, your state has now launched it this week. That's a big reason why I put this game in here, but I have some feelings about it as well. This one kicks off at noon Eastern on ESPN. So I love the stat. I get to break it out and use it for the first time this year. Unranked teams that are favored over teams ranked between 20 and 25. That sounds like a lot of qualifiers, but think about it. Basically, the bottom of the AP poll, when they're playing unranked teams, the unranked favorites have won 28 of 35 matchups outright since 2010. That is a very high clip. Last year, they went 6-3 outright. Now, this isn't necessarily a trend, a blind trend to follow, but it does tell you about what the AP poll is versus power rating. So don't go into these games and see, ranked Florida, an underdog? Oh, yeah, I'm going to hit. No, there's a reason that they're an underdog against Kentucky in this one. Florida was without 3 starting offensive linemen last week, so you can go back and kind of take that result with a grain of salt. It was a 22-7 win over Charlotte. And Florida I got to give them credit. They are using Graham Mertz in the way that he should be, a game manager. He's not turning the ball over all that much because he's not given a ton of opportunities to turn the ball over all that much, although he's been far from great. They're primarily a run-first team. When they do throw the ball, it goes to Ricky Pearsall for good reason. I mean, you saw his catch on Twitter last week. That's why they're throwing the ball to him. But listen to this, 47.3% target share. Individually, that should be a unit target share, and it's going just to Ricky Pearsall. Almost 50% of the targets go to him. So there's a very clear number one on this team. I know Eugene Wilson has been out. Maybe he'll return this week. I don't know if that really changes the calculus all that much. So Kentucky, they run a lot of zone. This is going into a little bit of schematics, a little bit of, we're getting our elbows dirty here. But on defense, they run a lot of zone coverage, just that Mark Stoops system. But their corners are pretty nasty. Not going to lie here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Florida run Pearsall primarily out of the slot more, which he runs about 50-50 split between wide and in the slot. But I think it's going to be a lot higher in the slot to get him away from those guys. Andrew Phillips, a Wildcat slot corner. He's been pretty solid as their primary slot corner, but Maxwell Hairston, he's the shutdown corner out wide. He's allowing 19.2, I think, is the QBR that he's allowing out on the edge, like the true definition of an island corner out there. Florida's pass rush, we're talking about their defense, pretty nasty. Princely, I usually try to pronounce names on here, not even going to give this one an attempt. But Princely is a 31% pass rush win rate. That is very high. It's one of the highest in the country. He's just beating the tar out of these offensive linemen here. And Devin Leary, much worse when he has less time to throw. It's a scheme thing, right? He wants time to be able to throw more developed routes down the field. And receivers are not catching the ball when he throws it to them quickly. There's 6 of their 7 drops on the season have been on passes delivered within 2.5 seconds. So that's a lot of really deep in the weeds information here, but I think it is actionable information if you're looking at this game. And then the last note that I have here before I hand it over to you, Florida is really solid against the run. They're second nationally in success rate allowed on the ground.
I love your breakdowns, bro. I know I've said it before. One, I give you a ton of credit for even trying to pronounce names. I don't even try. I just QB1, wide receiver 1, running back 1, whatever. I don't even try. So credit to you. And I love all the facts and stats that you bring, all these little nuances. I'm talking much higher level and general trends of teams, offenses, defense, up, down. You're drilling way down. I learned so much just listening to you talk. I could just skip my part altogether. I won't. I'll give it to the Kentucky fans. They're welcome to the legal sports betting world. I love how you put that in there. Kentucky fans, I've written about you for thelines.com last week. We've talked about you before. Things haven't changed a whole lot for me with how I'm viewing your team or how the model's viewing your team. I have this game as a pick'em. Kentucky is assigned with the greater than 50% win expectancy, 52%. So I think this is an ESPN pick'em game competition. I did take Kentucky in that because that's a straight-up winner. You'd think a 4-0 start would exceed expectations for Kentucky football. However, given the schedule, home against Ball State, home against Eastern Kentucky, home against Akron, and on the road at Vanderbilt, the worst team in the SEC, there's an 89% chance that the average top 25 team would be 4-0 against the Wildcat schedule. So good that Kentucky has achieved that 4-0 record, but Kentucky's regular season win total projection has remained largely the same. It's risen from 6.9 to 7.0. So basically they've done what they're expected to have done and what the model thought they would do to this point. The defense is legit. It's ranked number 13 nationally now. The offense has been better than expected. They're number 50. So I do like what I've seen from Kentucky so far, but now we get going with their schedule. For Florida, the win in week 3 against Tennessee has offset the week 1 loss at Utah in the eyes of the model and how they performed in those games. The Gators are currently ranked number 30 in my most deserving rankings, or excuse me, number 29 in my most deserving rankings. Florida's offense has been worse than expected. It slid 10 spots to number 33, while the defense has been much better than expected. Perhaps I had too low of expectations. I had them number 46. They are now up into the top 25. Bottom line, I have this as a pick'em, 48% chance that Florida wins it on the road. Looking at the SEC East race, Georgia is the clear favorite. There's a 77% chance that Georgia represents the East in Atlanta. As things stand, Florida right now is my number 2 favorite. They have an 8% chance. If they win this game, that jumps to 13%. If they lose, it drops to 3%, which would be 5th in the East. So it's very tight down there among these kind of second-tier contenders after Georgia. For Kentucky, currently a 3% chance. That's number 5 in the division. If they win, it's up to a 5% chance, which would be number 4. And if they lose, it drops to a 1% chance, which would be 6th. So this is a big game for both of these teams to keep any hope at all of an appearance in the conference championship game alive. Of course, the games against Georgia, which for Kentucky is next week, and for Florida is coming off of a bye in week 9. Those are coming, but you got to take care of business in this one. It should be a really good game.
It's really interesting to see how your offensive and defensive rankings adjust throughout the season and how they increase and decrease. Because what I had expected for Kentucky was much better offensively than what they're actually putting out. But your numbers were a little bit more bearish, and rightfully so. And the fact that it says that they've been better than expected up to number 50 kind of tells it that your model had the offense kind of nailed there. Whereas my projection was just, I was a little bit too bullish on the Wildcats, I think, preseason here. I know I dropped that trend earlier, but I think I lean Florida on the road here. If it's under +3, I'd bet them out. I know. I have to put it in there.
You're going against it.
Yeah, I am for this one. I know. It's at a pick 'em right now, so you can afford to be patient because 0's a true dead number. You cannot end in 0 in college football. So I'm patient. If it's under 3, I'm probably taking the Gators outright. If it's more than 3, I'll probably I don't think it's going to rebound to that, but I'd probably take the points there. Low scoring, it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't think either team has great weapons, but I think I like ETN a bit more than I like Ray Davis on the other side. And I think I have better data points with Florida. Like I'm a lot more confident in what they are versus what Kentucky is. Because I know you said that their schedule's been soft, but Kelly, we can't overlook the Akron Zips. They've been giving Power 5 team fits all year. And I'm only being half facetious about that.
Goodness, IU Hoosiers.
Yeah,
Goodness, IU Hoosiers.
Not great. But if we're looking at line movement here, Florida and the under took some movement as of Wednesday here. That's just the way I lean. I don't have an official play in this game.